And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this hot Monday, July 13th, 2026. Temperatures outside already in the lower 90s. And good afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director, Bridgette Readel. It's another hot one out there today, Bridgette. Uncomfortable. Thank goodness there's at least a breeze out there.
A little bit. It's more like a blowtorch instead of just a sauna for the most part.
No doubt. It is the hottest weather of the year yesterday and today.
Well, it's July.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Like I said, climatologically, this is the hottest time of the year.
You know what? It's going to be super cold in January.
I know.
Right?
Go figure, right? Yeah. Yep.
Addison's like, please, I'm begging.
You know, I was going to say this on Friday. Given the heat, can I really bum out some people's days and give like an official like Addison guess on the show for something?
Sure.
I want to guess that in 100 days it will snow for the first time.
Oh, want to write that down? Is that
sometime around October 20th?
Is that some sort of a bet?
Just as a random guess.
You know,
snow before Halloween. Well, I mean, it's not unheard
happened. I would like to say no to that only because it really thwarts.
You go stand
harvest.
outside and then say no to that again. Go on.
In the sun, not the shade.
The mic wire is long.
Right. I have to. The whole show I have to be outside.
Go.
I've been banished.
Middle of the parking lot. No shade.
Ouch.
Are you going to turn off my mic too?
Maybe.
It's going to be quite the day. I'll be yelling from the parking lot.
So October 20th, our first snow. Give or take, 5 days?
Yeah.
It doesn't have
official
to stay.
Addison guess.
I mean, it doesn't have to last. There could be a little snow and then we move on.
Yeah.
It's happened.
I'll take that bet.
I'll bet you your mic privileges.
He just shut you off. Okay.
Well, we do have a hot forecast, and it's going to stay that way, it looks like, all week long. In fact, the National Weather Service has extended the excessive heat warning through tomorrow evening. So, obviously, the hot weather is going to stick with us. Upper 90s today, and heat index readings about 105 or higher, with the southwest wind about 10 to 25. Clear skies, low 70s tonight, so a muggy one. And tomorrow, more of the same, upper 90s, plenty of sun, winds out of the south, not as strong as today, about 10 to 20. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we're in the mid-90s, low 90s Friday. Looks like we could get a little bit of relief over the weekend, back into the upper 80s, but I think a better chance for cooler weather and rain and thunderstorms early next week. And by cooler, I'm talking 80s, which is a lot better than upper 90s. So, but all this week, not a drop of rain, at least in the FM area. The areas right along that U.S.-Canadian border, north central, northeast part of the state, into far, far northwest Minnesota, could see an isolated shower tomorrow or Wednesday of this week. But other than that, that all stays well north, and we're looking at dry conditions and hot weather all week long. If you're out and about today or tomorrow, again, common sense, but stay hydrated, drink plenty of water, all that good stuff.
So for those who want to harangue Addison in regards to his snow situation,
100-ish days.
100-ish days. You can call him on the JLA Insurance phone line of 701-293-9000. It's the updated version of How is Addison Today? And you can call him just as well as you can talk with Nate Thorsrud of JLA Insurance about all your crop insurance needs. You've been watching our live stream brought to us by Lighthouse Commodities, Acres TV, Facebook, YouTube. Catch back episodes that you might have missed. Quality guests are always on, and you don't want to miss out on some of the fun that we have with them. So please do be a part of that. Project SafeSend going on this week. And so for those of you who would like to make sure to get rid of your unused pesticides that might be hanging out in the shop, the garage, the garden shed, here is your chance to clean them up. Today, Williston had their Project SafeSend going on. Tomorrow it will be in Rugby, Wednesday, Devils Lake, and rounding out the week and ending the whole program will be on Thursday, July 16th in Larimore. These are held at North Dakota DOT sites from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And again, you can be getting rid of all of those partial jugs, older materials, things you found when you cleaned out Grandpa's little shed in the backyard. Do not bring paint. Do not bring fertilizers. Do not bring fuels. And we've already had that talk with the SWAT team. You also can't bring those items as well. Then they mean it. They're like, do not put what you think is undetonated ordnance in the back of the car and drive it. to them, they'd prefer you just called ahead. They'd come to you, really. Be safer that way.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Right?
So Monday, July 29th was a big day in Highmore, South Dakota, or maybe a bad day. That was when they had their record winds. For those who remember seeing the wind towers that were toppled and so much more, there were winds in excess of 130 miles an hour that night. Currently, the National Weather Service out of Aberdeen has said the highest gust was 131 miles an hour, and they are looking at confirming it as the wind gust could be among one of the strongest in U.S. history. If they verify it, it could be the 15th strongest thunderstorm wind gust ever recorded in the U.S., the second highest gust in South Dakota. Back in 2010, winds of 142 miles an hour were measured in Dewey County. So is that possible?
It's possible. It's tough to get without a tornado. I mean, you get straight line winds, you can get some strong winds, but 130 to 140, that's usually reserved for, you're looking at F2 plus tornadoes.
And they're saying this was not a tornado or a derecho.
Mm-hmm.
This would be the highest one since 1983. Meanwhile, there was a tornado 2 miles south of Andover, South Dakota, which is 2 hours to the northeast of Highmore. So maybe they can get this record. I don't know if I want that to be a record.
Yeah, not sure if that's the one you want.
No.
But what do they win?
Nothing great.
More wind.
Yes. After having been the site of a derecho last year, we had two, I don't know if I should call it a derecho or a tornado, but where I live last summer, June 20th, we had 2 tornadoes, one on the north side of town, one on the south. The amount of destruction that came with that we are still cleaning up, I'd like to never have to do that again. And anytime storm chasers are like, hey, we're in your neighborhood, I'm like, hey, get out of here. You're not helpful to me. Please keep going down the road. There goes my non-hospitality.
I think if you win that, Addison, you win a stronger wind sock. So, you can kind of...
Better tie downs for your house.
It's made out of chainmail at that point. Like, what do you even do?
Minnesota Department of Ag is helping more people get into farming. They have a new round of our down payment assistance grant program. The grant offers eligible farmers up to $20,000 to help buy their first farm. There's $1.6 million available for the program this year. Applications are open now through August 31st. To be eligible, you have to make less than $250,000 per year in gross ag sales, and you must match the award with at least $8,000 of other funds, whether it's a loan, contract for deed, cash, or financing. Now, the Minnesota Department of Ag will grant awards using a random lottery process with priority given to those who, 1, have earned no more than $100,000 in annual gross farm product sales, or 2, are a producer of industrial hemp, cannabis, or a specialty crop. I feel like the cannabis is a specialty crop. I'm not sure we had to single that out, but
I would think so.
Apparently there's a lot of pain in Minnesota. Everybody needs cannabis. Haha, just teasing. Addison won't even let that joke fly. He's like shaking his head. No, you're done.
Should have pressed the dump button for that.
I haven't lost my mic privileges yet.
But we'll see. There's still a lot of show left.
I can make this up.
We've got another 45 minutes.
If you happen to be going to Minot for the state fair next week, and you should be, because we're in July. It's always hot as the surface of the sun in Minot for the state fair. On Tuesday, July 21st, North Dakota Stockmen's Association, Beef Commission, and the North Dakota Cattlewomen are hosting a free roast beef lunch for all active duty military, reserve, and National Guard members and their families. This is the 21st year that they're doing it. It'll be served from 11 to 1 or until the food's gone. And there are also games and so forth for the kids. So if you're going up to Minot, if you are military in that area, let folks know. We certainly want them to stop by, and the beef producers of the state want to say thank you for all that you do. And who doesn't want to have a roast beef lunch? Sounds delicious. And there's all this fixings that go along with it. So take part while you can. Oh, sorry. I saw Addison was going to make another rude comment at me about my about my bad joke.
He's thinking.
He's letting it fly by.
Don't tempt me.
There'll be times. All right. We will roll on with guests this afternoon. Lynn Paulson of Bell Bank is going to join us. We're going to talk about their seminar next Monday, Ag Views Live, and also just as a banker with longtime experience in the region, let's pick his brain on some of the things that are going on. Again, you can send us your questions on the JLA Insurance phone line of 701-293-9000, or we can use our emails, ag@flagfamily.com or weather@flagfamily.com. We'll talk to Lynn after the livestock market update from the American Ag Network. We take the time to protect ourselves and our loved ones, but do we take the time to protect our email, our bank accounts, and so much more? You need to make that call to Chris Sherman with techsupport.farm because Chris can help you make sure that things are covered even when you weren't sure you needed to. In fact, I was on the phone with him this morning. We were setting up some security features in an email system for me. If you deal in dollars and cents, and what farm or agribusiness doesn't, it is a great idea for you to do the fence check assessment and make sure that no one else is watching, hacking, holding you for ransomware, and so much more. Again, go to techsupport.farm and talk to Chris Sherman. All right, so one of my favorite events of this summer is going to be coming up next week, Monday, and it will be Bell Bank's Ag Views Live. And to talk about it today, we are joined by Lynn Paulson. I swear your title gets bigger every time you come in, Lynn. Senior Vice President of Ag Lending and something else.
Agribusiness development.
Okay, thank you. See, it's just easier if I ask you, or otherwise I could make it up.
I've never been much into titles, so whatever it is.
So really, you're in ag banking and have been for a little while.
For 45 years.
Few things have maybe, well, I don't know. Have we come full circle? Or are we back to where we were 45 years ago?
You know, a lot of things have changed, but a lot of things haven't, right?
Sure.
I mean, in terms of the basics and you know, doing things the right way and also, you know, it's still a family tradition for the most part, right? But things have changed, but a lot of things have stayed the same, right?
And Lynn, what do you think the biggest change that you've seen over the last 10 years?
Oh, I don't think without a doubt it's technology, right? And it's genetics, and it's what equipment can do and how much more efficient, you know, the ag sector has become. And I think we're just on the cusp of what's yet to come, right? And whether you take a look at some of the, you know, the technology, or even, you know, you want to get into AI a little bit, whatever. I mean, I think there's a lot of things coming down the pipeline. I think we're in the first or second inning of a 9-inning game, and a lot of that.
Do you think in the future here that everything's fully automated?
Yeah, I mean, it can be, but there's a lot of things that have yet to do, right? I mean, we've got automation out in the fields, right? You can have autonomous tractors and combines, everything else, but you still need autonomous roads, right? You still need to get to the to the elevator and things like that. So, but I think it's coming. Whatever, probably quicker than we would like.
Okay.
John Deere has a commitment that they want you to be able to go from planting through harvest autonomously by the year 2030. I think we're about there. I mean, we're doing it in tillage. We're mostly there as far as sprayers are concerned. There's still an operator in the cab. Grain carts, you know, we're maybe not quite there as far as a combine. But the first thing farmers will tell you is, one, do I need it? And two, can I afford it?
Yeah.
Because it's great that we have all of that technology, but is it the right thing for every operation?
You know, and that's a great point, whatever, to do that. But I think it's interesting. John Deere doesn't even view themselves as an equipment company anymore, right? Nope. They're a technology company, and it's really coming quickly. But you know, it's still got to make economic sense, right? You can have all the nice shiny things, and you know, it's nice to talk about it. But at the end of the day, it needs to improve productivity and your bottom line, right? It doesn't pay to, you know, walk over, you know, dollar bills to pick up pennies in the corner.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can control my Roomba with my phone if I wanted, but I don't really need to. Yeah. So it's kind of like the same thing on the farm, right? I could, but I don't have to.
That's exactly right.
And that's probably some of the things you're going to be talking about next Monday with Dr. David Cole, who's retired professor emeritus from Virginia Tech.
Yeah, you know, there's so many things to talk about. You know, when you know, what Dr. Cole does really well is that he brings it down to a human component, and you can take all the geopolitical things that are going on, all the economic things from a regional, national, global basis, and really, what does that mean to the Red River Valley, right? What does that mean to the farms here, and what are some of the things that you need to be aware of, and what can you change, or what can you manage and control, and what things can you not control? So, but he does a great job. I take a look at, you know, what we're looking at in the Red River Valley here, and more of on a regional basis, both in, you know, the grain sector, and of course the protein sector and the livestock sector, and it's massive bifurcated ag economy right now, right? And you know, at the end of the day, it's for a lot of folks, especially in the grain sector, where, you know, there's some pretty massive headwinds, right? It really is getting back to the basics, right? I mean, it still is about knowing the numbers, and we've always been in a cyclical business in agriculture. You know, and I like to think in 10 years, maybe 2 or 3 of them, you're going to make pretty good money. 4 or 5, and maybe a push, and 2 or 3 are going to be pretty hard, right? So we may be in that ladder right now, but it's not necessarily how you handled, you know, it's how you handle adversity here a little bit, and can you do the right things to get to the next upturn of the cycle? Because if you don't believe that's coming, then we have some issues.
When you and Dr. David Cole take the stage next Monday, this will start at 8 a.m.
Correct.
This will be at the Hilton Garden Inn here in Fargo. Yep. And then you wrap up with lunch. This is a free opportunity for folks to come in and hear your discussions. again, not just about agriculture, but the geopolitical impacts around the world that are affecting us right here in this region. And so for folks, they really need to just come and join us. And you've had generations, you've had people coming back every year, but you also have generations coming back now.
Yeah. We've had people come back for all 11 years, or this will be the 12th, right? And which would tell you that it's not the same program year after year. We start with a clean slate, just because that's the way agriculture is. But we've had, as many as 3 generations in an operation, from, the 19-year-old to the 49-year-old to the, we've had a lady there that's in her 90s, that continues to come and have a thirst for learning. I think what's interesting about the event, though, is you've got a really diverse group in the room. I mean, obviously, you've got your ag producers, but you've got your agribusiness people, you've got your attorneys, you've got your academia. I mean, it is a really a well-rounded. And if you think you have no connection to agriculture and you live in Fargo, you're wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything that goes on in the farm does filter on and trickle down to the economy here in Fargo.
For those who, as regular listeners of Weather and Ag in Focus, when some of the stories, some of the facts and background that I pull often come from your quarterly newsletter from Bell Bank, additionally from this event. If you haven't registered for this free event, I would suggest that you do. It's a morning that's well worth your time. And just what we hear from those speaking on the stage, the networking that happens at the tables, you allow people from the audience to ask questions. Maybe I'll write mine down and slide them over to you today to take along.
That's kind of interesting. That as much as we like to, give our presentations about what we think is important, the most popular part of the event is we call it our ESPN hot seat, and for the last hour, we take all questions and we don't know what's coming, right? And both Dr. Cole and I are pretty much unfiltered, right? We'll tell you what we think. And that really has been one of the best part of, because, we have things we want to talk about, but we want to talk about what's on your mind. So we really take the time to do that, and it leads into all interesting corners.
So if someone misses the Fargo event, there are others.
Yeah, we have one in Mankato the next day. So if you're in south central Minnesota, that's an opportunity there. And then on Wednesday, we're at the Wisconsin Dells. So if you're tired of the heat and you want to go relax in the Dells, whatever,
take the family.
Take the family and show up on Wednesday morning, and you can do 2 things with one trip.
What do you talk about in the car when you drive to Mankato? Could I ride along? I mean, I don't need to go to the second show, but I just am curious what you video, like, conference call me in. I want to hear what you guys are saying.
Dr. Cole and I have done that we've known each other for 30 years, whatever. But you're exactly right. The conversations that we have, he's kind of like that Dusaki commercial, whatever. He's the most interesting man in the world.
He is for Dos Equis.
And he's got such a thirst for knowledge, and his knowledge base and what he picks up from his travels around the country is second to none. And the perspective that he brings is something that, I worry about when he retires, right? There's really nobody in that ag finance space to replace him. And that, not just current knowledge, but that, that generational institutional knowledge that he has, you just can't replicate.
Those are the times where you wish everybody had a little USB port behind their ear and you could download that information so you can keep it for later.
And interesting, one of the things we talk about is beyond agriculture. We talk about life.
Oh, yes.
Right? Just about life.
He is a health advocate. Like, take care of yourself, live long.
And he'll talk a little bit about that as well, because, as times get a little challenging, whatever, and that is an important component of the mental stress and that folks are under. You got to take care of your physical health so you can handle it, the emotional and the stress.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'll continue our conversation with Lynn Paulson of Bell Bank when we return. And if you have questions for Lynn, and I hope you do, you are welcome to reach out to us at 701-293-9000. That's the JLA Insurance phone line. Thank you to Landmark Companies. They are your leader in drainage and so many other projects. Blake Sunday joined us last Friday for the Drainage Difference, brought to us by Landmark Company. And we are also happy to have them as part of our Flag a Farmer program. If you're looking to do drainage, horizontal boring, and so much more, you're going to want to talk to Blake over at Landmark Companies. Today in studio, we have Lynn Paulson. He is with Bell Bank, Senior Vice President of Lending, Director of Agribusiness, General Extraordinaire. Okay. Just go with a yes. It's perfect. Okay. Perfect. Earlier today, I was talking about how Minnesota Department of Ag has grants for beginning farmers, $20,000 to help them get into a farm. As a lender, my guess is you're okay with that type of thing, but do you have some suggestions that if you're applying for that, maybe keep a few things in mind?
Yeah. That's a question we get all the time, right? Is how does the young person get involved in agriculture? And it's so difficult with the capital requirements that is needed for the most part. But if you're willing to start small and have a small farm, and maybe it's direct to the consumer, all those type of things, there are those programs available. The problem is, $20,000 sounds like a lot of money. It's not a lot of money.
It's
right?
just barely a step.
It really isn't. So you still need a good banking partner to do that. But in the long, I think at some point, even if they were to come up with some tax plans and advantages for, farmers that are selling their land to a beginning farmer or something like that for a tax advantage. But given the landscape of the capital requirements that's involved in just about all aspects of agriculture, it's very difficult. And government support helps, no doubt. But it's a long way to from where you need to get to.
Speaking of government support, as we think about what may happen in the Farm Bill 2.0, if you will, right, which feels like it's a little bit stalled out right now. It's supposed to be in markup. It really hasn't moved forward. But they had some credit and loan expansion clauses in there to try to help out. So FSA was going to have direct farm ownership loan limits to $850,000 and guaranteed ownership loans to $3.5 million, starting with fiscal year 2027. Is that a good or a bad thing?
Yeah.
In your long-term opinion, with all the things that you've seen.
That is interesting. And I think for the most part, the traditional banking sector is very supportive of the increased loan limits, especially in the guaranteed program. The $3 million, and it takes into maybe some established producers that may be struggling, and a bank may need a guarantee to get over those rough spots, whatever. $3 million sounds like a lot of money, but for an operation, $3 million is
that's just doing business on a
just
Tuesday.
Doing business, whatever. So I think especially as you get into some of these downturns, and banks or lending institutions look for ways to keep those folks in business, that increased lending limit especially on the guaranteed program will help a lot.
So last week was the Association for North Dakota Agribusinesses. They had one of their events out in Bismarck. And I rode out there with a couple of producers and my husband, and we were talking about, that next generation on the farm, because we know that it's a big hurdle to become that first generation farmer or that next generation farmer. But we also realized, as we just thought about the people that we know in our circle, there are a lot of farms without heirs. And so what's the next step for them? Are you working through some of that, how do I gracefully exit? Have you found a Match.com program to start getting them their next generation of farmers?
That is probably one of the biggest issues in agriculture right now is the demographics, right? There's twice as many farmers over 75 as under 35. And the average age, as we know, is 60 years old. And I think the last number I saw, 68% of the farm operations out there have no succession plan.
I would totally agree with that.
Part of that is farmers don't like to think about their own mortality. Right?
Well, who does? But come on, we don't get off this rock alive, you guys.
And for a lot of folks, they found it easier to build and create wealth than it is to figure out how to give it away. And if you've got multiple heirs, fair is not always equal. Equal is not always fair, right? Yeah. To do that. But operations that take, and I'll use my family, myself and my wife, we've taken, steps to put the land into a triple LP, and we've told our kids exactly this is what's going to happen, and this is what our wishes are, and so forth. And and it was a little bit difficult to do that because, like I said, we didn't treat all the kids the same.
Sure.
But for us, it was about protecting that family farm and legacy, right? And we wanted to do that. But farmers are very independent. That's their strength and their biggest weakness, right? To do that, but they just don't like thinking about that.
No, I don't think anybody really does.
Yeah, but one of the things that I did a number of years ago is I put together. I had a brother that passed away very early, and he didn't have things in order, whatever. So after he did that, and after I worked all the way through that, I put together, what I call if I die list, where everything is. And then one of my friends says, if you die, it's when you die. Right? We're going to die, and death is undefeated. So, we just need to come to that realization and start having those, start putting those things in place while everybody has a sound mind. And, and so you're doing it, you're not letting that next generation argue over it, whatever. I've seen more families split up over that than anything.
So that's, without even knowing it, that was a great lead, and that brings me to something. I'm on a planning committee. We're putting together preliminary plans for, it's the second Saturday in March. I think it's March 13th. The Grand Forks Farm Toy Show is held at the Alaris Center in their conference rooms, and it's a great toy show. Well, we realized that because Dad and the kids are busy, there's a group of us that are putting together an event for all the women. Because, just what you said, when you are part of a farm, and especially if you're working off farm, do you know all the things that you should know? Now, it's kind of easy. Well, we get statements in the bank from Bell Bank, or we get statements from this insurance company, et cetera. So most of those things seem like they're where they need to be. I can point out at least 3 farms that when the primary proprietor passed away, it took 5 years to close those estates.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that guy farmed on paper for 5 years until they could figure out where all the assets and all the accounts were. So sometimes there's things you don't know about. So when I die file, that's literally what this conference needs to be about, is what happens. Or if your primary farmer is incapacitated in some way, do you know all these things?
Yeah, and I update it every 6 months, right? But when you brought in about the widow, if you will,
yes,
of the operation, and I think the latest statistics out there is like 40% of the land out there right now is controlled by women.
Guess who the largest farm ownership group is in Iowa?
Women.
Women over 80.
Yeah. I think like 13 or 14% of the land in Iowa is owned by women 80 years old. So I jokingly tell my audience, if you want to get rich, guys, go check out the nursing home, right? So
somebody with a lot of land and a weak ticker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But when there's land involved, you're talking a lot of money, right?
Quickly.
I mean, really, really quickly. And the other thing about all that is good planning is for all the work that somebody went through to put that operation together. You certainly don't want to give it to government, right? In taxes, and there is hardly any reasons with good planning that you ever have to worry about that.
Accidents happen. We have an alarmingly growing rate of farmer suicide.
Yeah,
and we have too often folks that don't know all the things that should have been taking place. One of the ladies who will be a speaker at that conference in March, her husband died by suicide. She didn't see it coming, and she very quickly, even though she'd been doing the books for her farm, had a lot of quick learning lessons about things that she had to suddenly take over, and it was a big hurdle.
That the suicide and the mental health issue, that gets to be a bigger issue as time gets tough, because no one wants to be the generation that loses a farm, right?
None. No,
not on their watch. So,
no.
Sometimes it gets so that they just can't deal with it. But even us as lenders, I mean, we're in tune to, some of that, because they might, be a little bit more open with us than maybe their family, or, that's potentially showing a sign of weakness. But, the people that pay the price for suicide are the people all left behind.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, trying to clean things up and figure out why. I mean, you're asking why they did it, but there are some financial realities to try to work through, and that can be really, really difficult, especially in the aftermath of a tragedy like that.
Farm Journal had a report last week where they talked about the overall health of the ag economy as represented by about 80 ag economists from across the
Mhm.
U.S. And I want to say it was 45% of those ag economists felt that there's a major restructuring coming for many farms. As you look over your long-term career within ag lending, do you agree with that? Do you think that there's some big restructuring ahead of us, or are we sort of at the peak of it and things might level out from here?
Well, I don't think there's any question that, working capital has gotten depleted in the last couple of years, and more than likely it'll be depleted this year. We went through a round of restructuring, during the last downturn in, 17, 18, 19, right? And typically there's a restructuring and you refinance it on real estate. A lot of that debt's still sitting on the balance sheet, right? Because it was set up on a 20-year loan, and we may have to open some of those things up again, just to get that working capital back into position where, you're not having that big evergreen debt or that carryover debt, and you're setting it aside. So, but you can't borrow your way out of debt, right? And
No.
at some point, the land values great, and it provides that underlying collateral, whatever. But at some point, again, you need to take a look at the underlying operation, and structurally, is there some things that we need to do differently? Or, as you talked about earlier, is it time to start looking for an off-ramp, an exit strategy? And to do that, I mean, it's it's tax planning. One of the things that I talk about is, when you do that, focus on the day after. Are you going to have enough income coming in to be able to service the obligations and to live, right?
Absolutely.
So I call it the day after.
And you can't forget about it.
No, that's exactly right.
So for those listening, do not forget that next Monday, July 20th, this will be 8 a.m. We'll start at the Hilton Garden Inn for Bell Bank's Ag Views Live with yourself, Lynn Paulson, and Dr. David Cole, Professor Emeritus from Virginia Tech. Any other details? It's free.
Yeah, it's free. And we like you to pre-register, but if you don't, we fill a room, but we've never turned anybody away. So
Yeah.
if you want to show up on Monday morning, we're glad to have you.
We'd be happy to see people coming in, and you will see me there. So last question for you, Lynn. As we were walking in today, we were talking about hot weather, and it all brings back those memories of haying season, baling, etc. What's that standout hay season memory for you?
Oh, and the alfalfa leaves would stick to you,
Oh,
right?
the
I mean,
itch.
it would stick to you because you were all sweaty, right? And to do that, and it itched, and it seemed like if you were standing in the back of the baler or whatever, the wind would always be in your face. You'd never have a favorable wind, whatever. But you got a lot of calluses on your hands, those types of things, and it's kind of, those memories are actually, as you get older, are probably more favorable than anything, because you wouldn't trade it for the world.
It's a good hard day's work.
It's
Yeah.
a hard day's work. Yep.
When they say the good old days, I'd like to not do that again. We had a Versatile and then an Owatonna swather, and none of them had cabs. My job was to run the swather. And when you went into the wind, everything on the reel blew up and covered you because you were sweaty. And when you were when the wind was behind you, all the engine heat came off the back and blew over the top of you. So anyway, it was terrible. Remember those?
I can remember those.
Lynn, thanks for being here today.
I'm glad to do it. I hope to see you on Monday.
You will.
Thanks, Lynn. And when we come back, we'll let you know about this heat, how long it's going to last. Let's just figure it's going to last all week. It's not going to improve a whole lot, but there is some relief I see on the horizon. I'll detail more on that coming up after the break. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus on this hot Monday afternoon. Temperatures 93 degrees here at the studio, on our way up to about 98. And heat index readings about 105 today. With at least there's a breeze. Yeah, and it helps a little if you're out southwest 10 to 25. Again, excessive heat warning continues through Tuesday now. The National Weather Service has extended that. And 73 tonight, 90, upper 90s tomorrow. And then mid-90s Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, low 90s. So we're going in the right direction if you want the cooler weather. And then the weekend, it looks like mid to upper 80s. A very slight chance of an isolated shower or storm over the weekend. I think a better chance of rain and slightly cooler weather comes into the area as we head into next week. And yeah, it's hot outside, and you know what feels amazing? I'll tell you what. Have you ever discovered the wellness you deserve at the hot tub and sauna store in West Fargo? Sink into a brand new Caldera spa. I just got mine. Can't wait to use it. They're built for pure comfort, super efficient energy use, and easy saltwater maintenance. Just imagine coming home to that perfect soak every day when you have a bad back like mine. Nothing feels better than a good Caldera spa on your back. And for serious health benefits, step into a Finleo sauna so you can train, detox, and truly relax right at home. The Hot Tub and Sauna Store, living the life you love. Stop by today next to Costco in West Fargo.
If you are doing things online, and maybe you take some fantastic photos, Lalamond Plant Care has their Hometown Roots photo contest. Today's the last day that you can register for it. And it's the opportunity to win $5,000 with your photo or 30-second video celebrating agriculture. And so this was launched back in 2021. They've given away about $150,000 to 29 different participants in the U.S. and Canada. Maybe your town is looking to do some improvements at the park, the ball diamond. You need some money for 4-H or FFA, the local fair board. This is an opportunity for you to go ahead and register. Again, today's your last day, and it goes to a local community organization or charity of your choice. And these are $5,000 prizes from Lalamond Plant Care. If you're curious, wait, where are the details? Feel free to send me a quick text message or email, and you can reach me by email, ag@flagfamily.com. Plenty of good things going on there.
Yeah. So what do you do to stay cool on days like today?
Ice bucket challenge.
See, now you're talking. Now you're talking some fun there.
So the sweaty 12-year-old me reverts back to all the things that my mom did because we grew up in a house without air conditioning.
Right.
Our farmhouse. And you live in the basement.
Yep.
You close the shades like you are hiding in the witness protection program. Close them all.
Okay.
If you're going to go in or out of the door, you only get 6 inches to squeeze in and out. And you may not go out many times because if you do, someone will yell at you that they're letting in all the hot air. First person.
Fans?
Yes, there would have been fans,
Okay.
like as big as we could make them in the house. They probably blew wallpaper off the walls. I remember there was no way to use the dryer. Everything went immediately to the wash line. I still kind of do that now. If you turned on a light bulb or used a hairdryer, you got yelled at for making it hot in the house. Oh, yeah.
The light bulb.
Oh, yeah. My parents were cheap, and it was hot. Because if I think about the worst years, like 88 and 89 during the drought, it was like this every day for months. I swear to God, it was awful. So, yes, you do those things.
Yeah. And, this will end up going down. Our previous stretch of 90-degree days was at the end of May, where we had, I believe, 5. So this will go down this will be over a week of 90-plus weather, and this will probably be the longest stretch we see this summer, even though I see this heat ridge breaking down next week. And it'll stay like that probably through the end of the month. I do foresee this heat ridge, according to the LRC, coming back early August. Now, how long it sticks around that time, we'll wait and see. But the good news is, as this heat ridge backs up west, you get what we call a ring of fire pattern. So thunderstorms kind of rotating around the periphery of that heat ridge. That's giving the monsoon season a kickstart here in the desert Southwest. Great news for them. And those thunderstorms rotate along that heat ridge. Once the heat ridge kind of shrinks and moves back west, we'll be on the northwest side of that next week, where we will see increasing chances for thunderstorms, but not till next week. So that'll do it for today's edition of Weather and Ag in Focus. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Don't go anywhere. The Jay Thomas Show, it's coming up next.